Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. Today's phrase is to bow to pressure or bowing to pressure. Now, let me just explain first of all what the verb to bow actually means. So imagine you're going to see a great theatre performance. Let's say it's Phantom of the Opera or something on Broadway or in a theatre in London. At the very end, all of the actors come onto the stage and they bow. Bowing is when you take the top half of your body and you lower it. We do it when we meet royals. We're supposed to bow and let them know that we're giving them respect. Now, I don't know the history of why we do that exactly, but I can tell you we do it. To bow under pressure is a metaphor for the way things change shape when pressure is applied to them. Now, imagine that you have a piece of plastic and you stand on it. Of course, it changes shape. You could say that it bows as it leans forward, depending on exactly how you're pushing it. Flowers, as they grow up, they tend to kind of bow over because the flower on the top is heavier than the stem. So they kind of just fold, don't they? And that's called bowing. So imagine that, for example, okay, you're standing up and I come along with a huge bit of concrete. And I begin to lower this bit of concrete down upon your head. And as I do it, you have no choice except to bow so that this goes on your back instead of your head. So bowing is when you move your body, the top part of your body forward. We use this as a metaphor for bowing under pressure. So imagine your boss, for example. Your boss, for example, is under a lot of pressure. Maybe the board of directors are trying to fire him. And he's trying to survive, but eventually he'll have to bow to pressure and leave. Now we can say bow under pressure. We can say bow to pressure that's being applied. And there's also other variations we could use with different prepositions, but let's just focus on bowing to pressure and bowing under pressure. I think you've got the meaning now, so we're going to do some examples just to make it clearer. I can see that my roads in my village are being repaired. The government's finally bowing to pressure from the public. The politician quits after bowing to pressure from the leader. The boss was accused of malpractice and bullying when his entire team resigned, saying they were bowing out under pressure. The director of the company said there's no way he's going to bow to pressure and resign. Now, another word that you could use, which means the same thing, is to cave. To cave. It's a much more informal way of saying the same thing. I was arguing with my mother last night because she doesn't give me enough money. Finally, she caved and said that she would give me a higher allowance every week. So to cave and to bow to pressure both mean the same thing, simply to give in. In one of my examples, to bow out under pressure, it's a little bit different. It has the same meaning, but it just means basically to leave under pressure. The pressure was so bad that you bowed out. Sometimes when directors of companies leave, they often say, I'm going to bow out. The word bow itself doesn't mean pressure. So you could just simply say it's time for me to bow out and let a replacement come in. There's no problem with that. But to bow out under pressure or bow to pressure is all about when things are getting a bit tough. Politicians, of course, rarely bow to pressure because they have their own ideas about what should happen or what should take place. Now, I'm going to read you a few articles from our media from today, just so you can get an understanding of how this works. One of the big stories today is regarding the government department that regulates media. It's called the Ofcom, the Office of Communications. Ofcom has warned broadcasters employing politicians as presenters that flouting its regulations could lead to sanctions. And they're also saying that they will not bow to pressure to close down one of our TV channels because they've been investigating one of our TV channels, which has been allowing politicians to present the news. Now, apparently, there's a number of politicians who've been reading the news on this particular channel, and that's not allowed. There's always a fear that what they present would not be impartial. So they're not allowed to do that here. And our department, which looks after media, our government department, is saying that they will not bow to pressure to actually close this particular TV channel. They're going to keep it open. Now, just to look at one of the words there, it says Ofcom has warned broadcasters employing politicians as presenters that flouting its regulations can lead to sanctions. Now, flouting is when you openly ignore or don't pay attention to rules or expectations. When someone flouts something, they usually do it with a sense of carelessness, or they simply don't care. For example, maybe at work, someone will come in and flout the dress code when they come in to work wearing shorts and a t-shirt when they should be wearing a business suit. So that's an example of flouting. So, getting back to my point, Ofcom is saying that they will not bow to pressure and close this TV channel. Now, there's another story I want to share with you quickly from the British media, and that is that many of our young people are drinking at very young ages. And there's a report here saying that younger people now, people who are only 13 or 14, are drinking very heavily. And the report is a bit confusing because it begins by saying that England has the highest drinking rate of children, but then the report says the UK of four nations has the highest rates of drinking amongst children. And then the story gets a bit confused. Sometimes it refers to England and sometimes it refers to the UK. So it can cause, even for us, a lot of confusion to know who they're actually talking about. Well, anyway, they're saying that children are bowing to pressure from their classmates to drink, or bowing to pressure from adults. Bowing under pressure, we could say as well, and we could even say that, for example, if a boss has a problem with alcohol, he might bow out because of personal problems. So these are some examples again of bowing out under pressure. By the way, if you are reading news these days, be very careful because it looks just a little bit depressing. I've been going through the newspapers today to find some funny stories for you, but today the news is a little bit dark. So if you haven't read a newspaper today and you're being told that you must by your boss or by your English teacher, don't bow to pressure because it's very, very depressing. It might be better for you to leave that for another day. There we are. And that's it from me. So I hope you've enjoyed this today, and let's talk again soon. See you. Bye.